Hi, this is Reddit Confessions channel. They say life doesn't always fall apart in a moment, but sometimes it does. For me, it happened on what should have been one of the happiest evenings of our year, our anniversary. 12 years together. I had reserved the same restaurant where I once dropped to one knee, a quiet place by the marina called La Vindor. Linen-covered tables, soft violin in the background, candlelight dancing off the glass, exactly how she liked it. Her name is Rachel, and for most of those years, I truly believed she loved me. I wore the navy blue button-up she once called dangerously handsome. She came in a black silk dress that made every head turn. From the outside, it was picture perfect, but there was a distance, the kind you don't speak about because you're afraid the words will make it real. She held my hand. She complimented my laugh lines, joked about us getting older, smiled through the wine and pasta. And then, just before dessert, I stood up to settle the bill. I'd asked the waiter earlier to write a little note on the receipt, something simple, to many more years, side by side. I thought it would make her smile. I thought I was being sweet. I should never have stood up. As I waited for the server near the bar, I paused briefly beside the booth behind ours. Not out of suspicion, just to give space while I waited. That's when I heard her voice. My wife's voice. But not the version she gave to me. No, this one was playful, flirtatious, and unmistakably real. If he ever finds out, she laughed, he won't yell. He's not built for that. He'll just vanish. Silence. Then a chuckle. A deeper voice, male. Familiar. That's what makes it easier. You didn't marry a lion, sweetheart. You married a Labrador. And then she said, calmly, like she was ordering coffee, this'll be the last anniversary I fake. My heart didn't shatter, it froze. I stood there, blood draining from my face, staring at a flickering candle on a nearby table, suddenly aware of how loud everything had become. I returned to our table like a man on autopilot. Rachel was mid-sip when I sat down. Everything okay? She asked with a perfect, practiced smile. Perfect, I replied, lying without blinking. I didn't mention what I heard. Not that night. I watched her laugh with the waiter. I watched her reapply lipstick in the reflection of the glass door. I watched a woman I thought I knew, and realized I didn't. That night, after she fell asleep, I sat on the bathroom floor for over 2 hours, phone in hand, debating. Did I want confirmation? Or had I already heard enough? I decided I wanted the truth. All of it. But not with accusations. Not with shouting. I wanted proof. And what I found would change everything. The investigation. The next morning, I played the part. She made coffee, hummed a tune, offered to make me eggs. I told her I was running late and skipped breakfast. Instead, I sat in the car around the block, heart racing, hands clenched on the steering wheel. I wasn't planning revenge. I wasn't even sure what I wanted. Closure. Power, no. Just clarity. That's when I remembered Darren, old college friend, now ran a private cybersecurity firm. I texted him one word, urgent. He replied immediately. We met that same afternoon. I think she's cheating, I said. I don't want drama. I want confirmation. Darren didn't flinch. He didn't ask for gossip. Just nodded and said, you want ears, eyes, or both, but nothing illegal. That night, I handed him a spare phone and an old iPad Rachel no longer used. By the weekend, he returned them, loaded with discreet tracking software, text and call log forwarding, GPS, sensing, remote camera access, all invisible, all legal, all quiet. And so it began. The signs. It didn't take long. At first, it was little things, messages from someone saved as L, always deleted Pilates sessions that didn't show up on her calendar. Later, GPS pings near a boutique hotel 45 minutes away. At lunch hours, I didn't react. I logged everything. And then came the first undeniable receipt. A spa booking for two, under her name and another I recognized. Thomas Leary. Thomas had been my direct supervisor for 3 years. A man who came to our house for dinner. Who toasted us at our 10th anniversary party. A man I trusted. And now, the voice I'd heard made sense. It had history, confidence, arrogance, familiarity. The confirmation nearly broke me, but I didn't rage. I prepared. Strategy. Over the next 3 weeks, I became a ghost with a purpose. Darren helped me set up a pinhole camera in Rachel's vanity, where she often took private calls while doing her makeup. Another one went into the rearview mirror of her car. I created a hidden cloud folder, innocuously labeled Receipts 2021. It held screenshots of messages, location trails, email confirmations, financial transfers, eventually photos. Because one Tuesday afternoon, I followed the tracker signal to the Bellwood Inn, a quiet, out-of-the-way hotel with a wraparound porch and 0 security cameras. I watched from across the street as Rachel exited her car wearing the same black dress from our anniversary. 5 minutes later, Thomas arrived. I filmed them, walking hand in hand, laughing, his hand resting on her waist like he owned her. They disappeared inside for over 2 hours. When they came back out, her lipstick was gone. Her smile wasn't. She looked satisfied. And I felt nothing. No anger. No heartbreak. Just confirmation. I didn't need more. But I wasn't done yet. The setup. Over the next month, I opened a private bank account and transferred half of our savings, filed copies of our financials, insurance, and joint ownership docs, hired a quiet, no-nonsense divorce attorney named Heather Bloom, backed up everything to a password-protected hard drive, and all the while, I acted the part of the oblivious husband. Rachel didn't notice. She was too busy texting. One day, I accidentally mentioned a hotel name in passing, a hotel she'd secretly visited. She hesitated, blinked, then quickly recovered. Oh yeah. We had lunch there after a work thing. Smooth, but not smooth enough. She was unraveling, and she didn't even know it. The turn one Friday, she claimed to be flying to Boston for a weekend leadership summit. I nodded, kissed her cheek, wished her luck. She drove off with a suitcase and a smile. But she didn't go to Boston. She went to a lake cabin registered under Thomas' cousin. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. Instead, I packed. I erased her from my socials. I cleared the last sentimental photos. I updated my will. And I wrote a letter. It wasn't poetic. It was clean, honest, cold. You didn't lose me because you cheated. You lost me because you thought I was too blind to see. The exit. She returned Sunday night with a tan and a story about boring keynotes and cold coffee. I played along, asked nothing. But she sensed it, a shift. I no longer flinched when she lied. I no longer asked who she texted. I no longer looked at her the same. She noticed. And that's when it happened. She invited Thomas over. She thought I was out of town on a business trip. She didn't know I was 10 minutes away, parked down the street. She didn't know I had cameras rolling. When I stepped into the living room, she froze mid-laugh. Thomas dropped his glass. I said nothing, just walked in, turned on the TV, and played the footage, them, together, kissing, laughing, leading each other upstairs. When it ended, I placed an envelope on the table. Inside, divorce papers, financial breakdowns, legal documents, my letter. I looked at her and said calmly, "This was never about revenge. It's about knowing who you really are." Then I walked out. No shouting, no tears, no drama, just silence. And she sat in it. Aftermath. I moved into a small apartment by the coast, took a remote job, adopted a rescue dog, changed my number. Her messages went unanswered. So did Thomas. They weren't sorry for the betrayal, just for getting caught. And I wasn't bitter. I was free. One afternoon, Months later, I met someone at a park. No spark, no flirting, just warmth. For the first time in years, I realized something beautiful. I wasn't thinking about Rachel at all. And that, more than anything, told me it healed. Moral: you don't need to destroy someone to find closure. Sometimes, walking away is the loudest thing you'll ever do.